What's going on? Welcome to the $1 Million Meetups. It's your host, Lonnie. I'm here with Percy. I'll let you introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, what you do.
So my name is Percy. I'm a real estate agent in Chicago. This is actually my office here. So.
North and Claiborne Group.
Yeah, North Claiborne Group. Been doing it for about 4 years now. Mostly new construction. A lot of new construction, first-time buyers. That's really kind of where I hang my hat. Really so a lot of new construction is with sellers. So
yeah,
I'm kind of doing both sides.
So what you mean new construction with sellers? Because I'm getting into real estate, but it's still like so much. Like I know I gotta learn. Like obviously, but when I hit new construction, I think about like something like this. You know?
That's exactly what I was gonna point to. So like, my office specialty is new construction. The president, president and owner, she is anything in West Town, Wicker Park area, she got on lock essentially. So when I joined the office, that's basically how I end up getting into the new construction. So a lot of these new condos you see, where it'll be us that's listing them, and our team at the open houses, we run open houses Saturdays and Sundays. So that's really new construction. And then for my personal clients and buyers, it's mostly first-time home buyers and things like that. So I'm part of a team over here, but I've also got my own my own thing going on.
Oh yeah, definitely understand. I mean, that's 100% for sure the way to go.
Right.
And I especially feel like that in real estate. So like with your own team, like you say y'all work with first-time home buyers and shit. Right. So like probably if not this year, like next year for sure, like getting ready to purchase like a first home. I'm not sure if it's gonna be here or if it's gonna be out of state.
Right.
So it's like, what do I need to know as like a first-time home buyer in terms of, you know, the best loans that's gonna, you know, give me a good interest rate, you know, the best loan that's gonna keep my down payment super low and all of that shit.
So basically, depending how you want to look at it, right? So you got the FHA,
that's the most popular one.
Right, that's the one you hear about a lot. I actually just yesterday heard about another one. It's a government program. I don't remember the acronym, so I don't want to give no false information, but I just heard about one that was it might have a higher interest rate, but it was like 0 down. So I actually got some homework to do when I get out of here, so I can know exactly what it is. But the most popular one is FHA, and then conventional. Well, typically you have to have a higher down payment, but you'll have lower interest rates and things like that. But the rates typically go with how the market doing. So rates were down for a while, and now we're seeing the I don't want to call it the backlash, but we're seeing the effects of it, because if you got a property that's any good, that's worth anything, it's not lasting at all.
What do you mean?
So I got buyers that's trying to get into properties, and everything's multiple offers. So every property is multiple offers. So sellers is really taking advantage, and properties are going for well over the listing price.
Oh yeah.
Because the rates are low, so there's more buyers, more people qualifying. And then I feel like there's people waking up in the sense of financial literacy and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, I feel like we had a boom this past like year and a half, maybe.
Everybody interested in stocks, everybody interested in real estate. So I mean, that coupled with the fact that the rates was down, you know what I'm saying? So everybody is there's a lot of buyers in the market. So inventory is at a premium right now.
Yeah. So is that only in Chicago, or is that just kind of like throughout the whole country?
So yeah, it's national rates.
Okay.
So yeah, I would expect Chicago to be similar to other markets too, but each market is different in its own way. So for local like suburbs and stuff, they'll have higher taxes, but the price So what you get for the price will be lower. I mean, more. You get more for $300,000 out in the suburbs, but you're gonna pay a little higher taxes.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know? So it's like, how do you wanna spend your 300? Do you want a lot of land or a lot of property and a little bit higher on the taxes, or do you want something a little smaller, save a little bit, but then it's gonna be give and take everywhere you go.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I feel like the obvious choice, like just sticking to the example, like the 300,000, like said, like the better investment is to get something with land, right? Because there's so much more you can do with the shit,
right?
As opposed to like one of these 300K is like,
right. Yeah, 300K in a certain neighborhood might get you a nice studio.
No, dead ass. 300K, 300K in New York or Cali will get you on the streets.
Right. That's the truth, man.
So shit. So you say it's a buyer's market?
Sellers, really.
Oh, sellers.
It's kind of backwards when you think about it. There's a lot of buyers, so it's a seller's market. And then when there's a lot of inventory, so there's a lot of property for sale, it becomes a buyer's market because buyers get to pick and choose what they actually want. And we were in a buyer's market for a little while where buyers were getting everything they wanted out of a deal. When I say that, I mean like credits. So that's one thing that when I came into the business, it was a buyer's market. So buyers were getting crazy amounts of credits from the sellers. You get crazy amounts of credits from the sellers, and just what's the word I'm looking for? Like concessions, basically. So sellers were doing anything they could to get the property sold, and now sellers don't have to do nothing but list it. A couple weeks, you get multiple showings, multiple offers, and then basically pick which contract you which buyer you want to do business with, essentially.
Yeah, this shit sound complicated as hell. So does the market, like if it's a buyer or seller's market, do that really, like, how does that determine like the success of a agent, or does it just kind of like not have any impact at all? Like when you speak about like buyers being able to get like credits and other concessions and shit,
right?
Do that impact like y'all sales and shit, or like y'all commission at all?
So I'll start with the commission part. So when it's a buyer's or when it's a seller's market, properties are going quick, right?
Yeah.
So if you are a listing agent, basically working with the sellers, then you list the property for 300 and they end up selling for 330 because you had 10 buyers interested in that property. You get a little bit more on the commission end, right? Now, if on that same token, if it's a buyer's market it's a seller's market and you got buyers that just can't win a deal, you're gonna be hurting. You know what I'm saying? So you can say the same thing on both sides. So same thing with a seller's market. If a buyer's market, if there's a lot to choose from, your clients might be like, man, I like this about this over here, but I like this about this over here.
Yeah.
If they had both, I'll be on it, but I want to keep looking. Man, we done seen 17 properties, my boy. Like
damn. So it'd be like that?
Yeah, I have clients that I've been working with for about a year, just off and on looking at properties and
they haven't made a purchase.
No.
See, that's the type of shit that'll piss me off.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna start questioning if you really got money to buy this place. Like,
and that's the thing, like before they even get to me, before we even go out,
they gotta do the pre-approvals and
exactly.
shit. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I'm a little nice with it. I might take you out on the first time, get a feel for how you do business and stuff. And then and I know some agents, they're like, do you got a pre-approval? If they don't got the pre-approval, I'm not unlocking any doors for you. So I haven't got to that point in my career yet where I'm just like, nah, pre-approval first before I unlock any door. But right now, I'll take you out on the first showing, talk a little business, and then explain you even come to me to look at a place.
Yeah.
But it don't always work out that way. So I like to explain to people. I like when people actually come to me first, because we got lenders and stuff that we like to work with.
Yeah.
And I mean, for the most part, you expect professionalism and people know how to do their job. But it's all relationships.
Yeah.
You know, so if you've done several deals with one particular lender or one particular company, then it's like you've seen that deal and you've had smooth transactions with them, then everybody comes in more comfortably when you got that type of contract.
Yeah.
Now, legally, we're not steering people toward those things because we can't, but we can make suggestions like, hey, I've worked with this person before, you know, and here are 2 or 3 other options. They're all good at their job, you know, because we've all worked with different companies, so.
I like that. I can't tell you what to do, but
right.
I can, you know, strongly suggest it.
Exactly.
I fucked with that. So, just want to rewind a little bit. You say you're not at that point in your career where it's like, shit, if you don't got the pre-approval, I ain't showing you.
Right.
I ain't showing you nothing. So, just like sticking to the point in your career, like, how did you get started in real estate, and like, why this field?
Okay, so I actually got started because I just always had an interest in architecture, really.
Yeah.
So it worked out for me that I actually went to a company that does a lot of new construction. So I like the process of going from basically a lot to a 3 or 4 unit condo building, or something bigger, or a single family home with 4 levels.
Yeah.
Like, those are the type of properties that we're working with right now. So just that interest of architecture in Chicago, I mean, how do you not have some kind of interest in architecture?
Yeah.
Check out these 2 buildings here. That red one is probably
Past the light?
Yeah, Past the Light. That red one's probably from 90 years ago, and that brown one is probably from 20 years ago. 2 different styles of buildings, so it's like Chicago has so much architecture. So it was that interest first. So I studied a little bit of architecture in college, did some architectural drafting and things like that. Then, I mean, most people who would get drawn to real estate had some HGTV inspiration.
I fuck with HGTV.
You know, so I'm watching HGTV and I'm like, man, I actually want to get into flipping. And then I realized, like, wow, these flippers are also their own agent sometimes. So I'm like, let me go ahead and get my license before I get started on the flipping part. That seems more tangible, more something I can do right now. And then I'm basically like, no, this is actually what I want to be doing. The flipping stuff I can figure out later.
Yeah.
So and basically how I ended up here. I was actually coaching baseball. And
oh yeah, I remember you used to play baseball.
Yeah, I was coaching baseball, and the guy I coached baseball with, his whole family is realtors. So I told him, I'm like, man, I think I want to get my real estate license. He said, I've been thinking about it for years. Let's go do it. And then we did it.
No, that's good shit. No, I think it's something that like everybody should get into at some point. But it's interesting that you point out like these 2 buildings,
right.
And like from your perspective, I mean, maybe this side of town or any other side of town, it's like you kind of see Chicago change.
Yeah.
Like I might see like, oh shit, this building is like new and nice.
Is like 10 years old, matter of fact.
Yeah, but it's like you probably, like you said, you like the, like you see a lot of it from when it's a lot, and then, you know, when it's a few stories up.
Right.
So it's like, I don't really know like the question I'm trying to ask, but it's like, Chicago's like an interesting city where it's like, when you certain areas out west, you know, you can have $1 million homes here and like cross the railroad tracks and it be like the hood.
Right.
So it's just like what's that like being able to see like Chicago change, because you born and raised there too, right? Yeah. So what's that like being able to like see Chicago change, like from your perspective as
So as a kid, I got you. As a kid raised in Wicker Park,
Oh, so you from Wicker Park?
Yeah. Well, I was born out west. Moved to Wicker Park with about 5. So, got some memories from out west, but most of my childhood is literally Wicker Park.
Yeah.
So, when we came here, Wicker Park was just becoming what it is today, right? It was a completely different neighborhood. And I think that played an effect on it too, on my answer to your question, basically, of how things change, right? So seeing all of the change, and there's a bunch of condos by my house or by the house I grew up in, where when we got there, it was trees, just empty lots and trees, right? So, I mean, just the growth and the progression of the neighborhood, I always found astonishing. But then as I get older, like, I can understand how pride in your neighborhood in certain areas, you don't necessarily want to see that type of drastic change and people getting displaced.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Gentrification.
Right. So growth without displacement, I feel is like the best, but I mean, that's kind of like utopian, I feel.
Yeah, I'm about to say, how do we go about like doing something like that though? Because it's like you said, like it's the displacement part. It's like I like spent a little time in Wicker Park, but I kind of lived all over the city, so I've seen like grew up in the projects a little bit, so it's like I've seen like where the projects I grew up in were like literally turned into townhouses like almost overnight, and it's like damn near no black people living in the neighborhood again. So it's like fine because it ain't like a lot of gang members that sit around that no more, but it's like you lose like part of, I don't know, for me it's like part of your childhood, or you know, just like memories you created in these places. So it's like how do we, from your perspective, like as an agent, like how do we get to that point of gentrification where it's like, or can we get to that point in gentrification where it's like, you know, our neighborhoods are doing exponentially better, but you know, we ain't getting pushed to the birds or, you know, wherever.
I was just listening to a podcast of comedians actually talking about something similar, and they were saying there's certain things about the hood that come with that, like outside of the danger, that are just staples. Like some of the best places to eat.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm holding the wall spot.
Right. Exactly. I mean, even right there on Western and Hersh, was a spot right there that me and my family would have dinner there a lot of nights out of the week.